You're listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, where we share topics that will inspire business growth and help you stay ahead of advances in technology before they become mainstream. This episode is sponsored by Ingram Micro Xvantage, the game-changing platform that will transform your business potential and reshape how customers see you. Today, we're joined by Ingram Micro's TrustX Alliance partner, Brad Sprague of Systems Engineering. Our TrustX Alliance group is Ingram Micro's global community of IT professionals who are passionate about solving problems, connecting in real time, and collaborating across the world. TrustX Alliance prioritizes accountability, innovation, and integrity by sharing experiences, maintaining a growth mindset, and valuing honesty and transparency. Welcome to B2B Tech Talk, Brad.
Hi, thank you.
Today we're joined, everyone, by Brad Sprague, who is Director of Sales for Systems Engineering, one of our TrustX Alliance partners and very valued Ingram Micro partner as well. Brad, what's been going on?
I'm just, coming out of the pandemic here, trying to figure out business development in this new world where people don't read their emails and don't answer their phones. We're on a journey to becoming really a pure play managed services provider. So we are constantly chasing new managed services opportunities and expanding them within our base.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations on becoming Director of Sales recently, right? You've been,
Yep, beginning
I,
of the
I,
year.
if I understand correctly, you have been with Systems Engineering since you were an intern out of college. What was that, 5 years ago?
Yeah. 20 years this week, actually.
Wow,
So I started in the
congratulations.
summer doing some data entry a long time ago, and I've had several roles here, though I've followed through mostly the sales part of the organization for all that time.
Very good. And speaking of congratulations, I also understand that Engineering was awarded the Arctic Wolf, was it Rookie Award?
So it's Managed Services Partner of the Year. They did have it qualified as new partner, but all the logo stuff that they gave us in celebration for it says MSP Partner of the Year because we sold more MSP new agreements than any other partner in the country.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did you hear about Arctic Wolf? And how did you enter into this business? Because if I understand correctly, you had a SOC before. You guys were managing your own SOC.
Yeah, we started having started our own SOC back in 2008, based on Cisco Mars, which is a real blast from the past. And we at that time were just starting to sell that to banks and heavily regulated industries that were really looking for that next level of security, and we were really leading edge with it at that time. And we developed our own small SOC here based on that SIM. Eventually, we moved that over to ExcelOps, which became FortiSIM, and we have a little over a half dozen people in the SOC. And over about the last 3 years, we started to get a lot of pressure from different parts of our client base, some of that driven by organizations that just uh, were not satisfied with a small homegrown SOC and wanted to see something that was 24/7, that was better staffed. So we were starting to have competition with that. The clients were getting more discerning on the features that they needed, particularly starting to get endpoint based um, logs that could be analyzed in real time out of it, which was something that we couldn't do. So we were starting to see a real challenge to this
Sure.
significant line of business that we had, and started to see us not selling new into it and starting to have some decline on some of our higher end business in it. And we still have quite a bit of SMB work in there where our traditional SOC services still really fit. But it was clear that it was not a growth avenue for us anymore, and we had started to risk falling a bit behind. So we started looking around for a different SIM alternative that would really solve the MDR, uh, managed detection and response conundrum, and we considered a few. I had gone to a peer meeting with TrustX, which is the Ingram Micro peer group, about a year and a half ago, and saw an emerging technologies presentation about Arctic Wolf. And brought that back to our company, and it was one of multiple things. We were hearing about Arctic Wolf kind of more and more, but it was really important that we had a channel friendly path to work with them. And so the fact that they worked with Ingram Micro out of the gate was one of the key selling points for us, because it was a path that was already trodden. And we put it side by side with the alternative offering from our professional services automation software, our PSA, and it quickly just completely trounced what the PSA could bring to the table with their alternative solution. So then we started following the path to partnership with Arctic Wolf.
Wow. What happened soon after you implemented Arctic Wolf for your partners?
So it was within a few weeks, we nailed our first resale deal for $150,000 worth of annualized revenue. So that was pretty exciting, pretty quick, but you tend not to put too much stock in that first one you get, right? Because somebody has their ears for it. But over the first 8 or 10 months that we were with Arctic Wolf, we landed 17 new managed services contracts with it, which we've simply never seen that kind of growth before. And it represented probably about 60% of our managed services growth in that time frame was all through this Arctic Wolf partnership. And we worked out our own service so we could add our own secret sauce over the top of it, and still be a key component of it, and still truly call it a managed services practice, not just a white labeled product, which is really important for making sure that we're driving our enterprise value, and that we're differentiating ourselves against any other partners out there of Arctic Wolf as there start to become more and more of them.
So you not only improved your existing customer satisfaction, but you grew your business as well.
Correct.
Pretty significantly. That's like 100+%.
Yeah, that was I want to say we probably increased our managed security revenue by 50% in that time. We have for an organization our size, we're about 180 people. We're based in northern New England. We're not in, as we like to say, an NFL city, but we have a pretty sizable and growing managed services practice. And we've been on this journey from a value-added reseller to an MSP. We've been on that journey for a long time, but it's really our strategy at this point. We've really matured to that point where we realize that doing anything for everybody that's willing to willing to buy it is not a path to success. It's not a path to providing the best possible experience to our clients, to be able to provide them the turnaround time and the quality that we want to provide. So we're really focusing our business over about the last 2 years on this MSP model, managed services provider model, and we're really finding that Arctic Wolf really just fits right into it.
Wow, well, it seems to be working for you.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Let's go back to TrustAct. So
Sure.
you go to the, tell me about, I've heard about obviously the Arctic Wolf discovery, but what about other benefits that you have realized from being part of this community?
Sure. So I'm coming in new to this role. Of course, I've been with the company for a long time and been in sales management for a long time. So I'd had some exposure to peer groups over time. Our company's members of a few, the leadership teams kind of dispersed through that. And when our previous sales director retired, one of the other sales managers and myself took over this relationship with TrustX and started to get involved with every single call monthly and every single one of their meetings, which are becoming better and better attended now in post-COVID, which is great. And what I found kind of out of the gate is some of the conversations that were being thrown around the room were the exact kinds of problems I was trying to figure out how to solve, both before I came into the role that I'm in now, and now more problems to solve as I'm in this directorship, senior leadership role. So I just find it fantastic to have these guard down conversations on a regular basis with other people that are solving the same challenges that I'm solving. I mean,
Absolutely.
everybody's a little bit different, but it's such a similar vein, especially with the affinity groups where we're organized amongst groups of companies that look more like us, because there's all kinds of different IT companies out there. There just tends to be huge value. Okay, you have a similar size sales force. You're trying to make this journey to an MSP as well. What are you running into? how you're training your people, how you're trying to overcome this hump that we're all dealing with.
I think what you said was really significant. Guard down,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can all go in there and feel like you can have open and free conversations without feeling like, oh, is it a competitor,
Right.
right? You can just be free to say what you need to say. And having spoken to many of our TrustX partners, I hear this over and over again that they'll say it in different ways, but it's the ability to speak freely and openly about your business and finding out that they're sharing some of the same, let's call them opportunities
Right.
that you're having.
Challenges,
That you're having.
opportunities.
Yep, there you
Yes.
go. There you go. That you're
Yeah.
having as well. So let's now go back to. I want to talk a little bit about a lot of our partners are looking at they either have a SOC or they're looking at building a SOC on prem. What advice would you give to them? Because you've been through this.
Been through this. I think that we're at a point, if you're a small organization, and we're about 180 people, so small is relative. Um, building this up yourself is not a path to growth. It's too much of a challenge these days. It doesn't scale when you're focused on managed services. Being a managed services provider, you're really focused on scale. At the same time, when you're looking at these different SIM and MDR services, you really have to think about people, process, and tools. How are you actually going to get to a positive net result for the client that delivers the value that they need? And many of these services bring lots of whiz-bang tools, but there has to be somebody there to translate what's coming out of it and deliver that service to the client. We focus on small and medium business. The vast majority of those clients are not staffed to do that interfacing directly with Arctic Wolf or any of the other services themselves. So that's the real value add that we're able to bring in there. So you really need to be focused on that client outcome. And I think we need to continue to get over the idea that in order to provide the real value to clients that they need, that we don't have to do it all on our own. It doesn't all have to be homegrown by us, that we can bring in with the proper vetting the right tools, services, and partners around us to deliver.
Fantastic. Had you when you implemented Arctic Wolf, were there other partners who had a shared experience? Were you able to leverage that as part of the community?
I, as I remember, we did talk to at least two other folks that we met through peer communities, including TrustX, about what it was like. Right, when you're working with the sales organization, I say this humbly as a salesperson, you know that they're motivated to bring you in, get you to be a partner, and they're going to. You're always suspicious that they're telling you what you want to hear. So our biggest hesitancy is it really all it's cracked up to be? So who's actually seen it? And the other thing that we did is we installed it for ourselves first. So we upped our own security, we ate our own dog food, and we saw what was coming out of it. And we were very concerned that we would overwhelm our own SOC folks who are now converting into this customer success team in the security realm, that we would overwhelm them and it would be impossible for them to handle. And as we sold it much faster than we anticipated, there was a lot of nervousness there. In reality, coming out the other side, we've been really impressed with how good a job the Arctic Wolf people do at filtering down to us really only what we need to be looking at on our client's behalf. We're not dealing with a lot of false positives, therefore we're not getting overwhelmed by the
Oh,
outputs.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Uh, the rest of this year, what does it look like in terms of growth? What are you seeing?
Um, we are seeing a wild success in our existing relationships. We are driving just huge amounts of value, particularly focused on security, into our existing client base. We are, I think, still trying to crack the code on hitting the quantity of new logos that we'd like to hit. I think that there's a lot of exploiting of third-party relationships like Arctic Wolf that we could do in order to get those warm leads. And we're investing in sales training. We're investing in all of our go-to-market documents and tracking new KPIs and so forth to overcome that. I think we will continue to see massive growth in security as people get to a point where getting anecdotal advice about security is no longer good enough. We're going to be offering to manage everybody to international standards. We're going to focus on NIST standards and how all of our clients compare to that. And we think that's going to drive a lot of growth as people become more educated about the actual state of the security of their network.
That's a really good point regarding education and awareness, because you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And the threat is there. It's real. It's hitting everybody everywhere from every crack in the business. So and it's not going away. It's only going to continue to as you get smarter, they're going to get even more smarter and look at ways to penetrate systems. Well, Brad, this has been absolutely a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much. Are we going to see you at Ingram Micro 1?
You will. I had, the event in Las Vegas in June or May was one of the best conferences I've been to, period. Though frankly, the extra time that we had to spend with our TrustX partner organizations and peers was just fantastic. So there's at least 2 of us coming from our organization. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being 3 or 4 by the time the dust settles. And I've actually added some time on, so I've never been to Nashville before, and I'm pretty interested to see some of that. So I added a day or 2 on the tail end, so I can just wander around a bit.
That is great. I look forward to seeing you and your colleague in Nashville. I was also in Las Vegas as well,
Great.
and I agree. It was the Global Cloud and Innovation Summit was just a great event overall. And thank you for saying that. There was a lot of sweat equity in that event.
Well, and I'm sure a lot of rust being knocked off on how to run an event like that at this point in time too, right? I mean, you just think about, we haven't done many things on that scale in the last, 4 years now, 3.5 years.
Yeah, so it was a great opportunity, when you have all that pent up excitement from our team, because we hadn't really done anything to scale like that, and to do it and deliver it and to hit a home run, it really felt good.
Oh yeah, and I would say it was a home run. Both the networking time, the content that was delivered, what we saw on the grand stage for keynote, those were all excellent. And then, of course, the parties, leave you with something to look forward to.
Absolutely. That's where the real networking happens, right? You go to the parties.
Well, and, as I've matured in this TrustX relationship, this is where it's taken 1.5 years or longer for me to just build this kind of confidence level. I know a lot of people there now. And I found we were at some networking event afterwards, and I ended up having 6, I think, conversations with people that I was introduced to through this network. Like, how are you doing this? Let's talk. And we might have put down a drink while we were doing it, but it wasn't just awkward. How the kids? Where are you from? What's it like there? We were really talking about real business opportunities together, and so it's just incredible how valuable that can be as you build those relationships.
That is super. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on B2B Tech Talk.
My pleasure.
And again, looking forward to seeing you in September.
Great. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to Ingram Micro's B2B Tech Talk. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode and you want to continue the conversation online, use hashtag B2B Tech Talk.